The black man ran across the deserts, and the sharpshooter did as well. Hello and welcome to the 19th episode of Deadlight Reviews. Today I'm going to be your host, Darren, and I'm reviewing The Dark Towers by Stephen King. I'll give you a little plot summary beforehand so you can kind of know what's happening. So the protagonist, he's played by Laurence Fishburne, who I'm not the biggest fan of because his face kind of reminds me of my dad's, but he's playing the last of this lost troop of sharpshooters, and he's chasing down Russ Cole, who has killed Senator Palmer. We see in like a flashback to the Battle of Waterloo. The Dark Tower is like converging universes, so there's stuff sort of from everywhere. Like a lot of Martin Luther King's books, there's like this rich multiverse running through them. I think The Dark Tower originally was actually inspired by Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, so it's a bit of trivia for you literary types. And speaking of trivia, in the film, it's jam-packed with like little Easter eggs for die-hard Stephen King fans like myself. Like the clowns in it. And Rust, Matt McConaughey's character, is like also loads of characters. Like he's also the Man in Black from like Lost. And the characters appeared in like previous iterations. Like he's also Randall Flagg, the primordial villain from Monsters Inc. with like his scream extractor bass and his lackeys. And he's doing the same thing. Like it's a similar rendition of the character in this film. And like his lackeys are helping him harvest the screams of children to like take down BT Tower or whatever. And this is where the main kid comes in, who has like the Force. And it's only this kid's imagination that can take down the gloomy edifice. King's really into like harnessing the imaginations of children for nefarious ends. It's a bit like capitalism, but more up front. Or it might just be the Puerto Rican kid that's writing all King's novels for him is trying to send a little cryptic SOS. But this kid, who's played by a child, is thrown together with the Gunflinger. Like he sort of planeswalks into his universe to escape like this house demon. Although he doesn't really need to because it sort of leaves him alone. Like it turns out property demons just really respect consent and he sort of like stop it. But then he goes into Rollo's universe and sort of becomes his sidekick pretty immediately because Rollo also wants to take down the dim edifice because he's... no, he doesn't want to take it down, he wants it. I mean, I guess they live in a post-apocalyptic wasteland with like scarce resources, so I imagine like the property value of a fuck-off giant tower that can harness the power of all universes is probably got a lot of competition. It's probably got that whole exposed brick and thinny flooring, artisan toe-dash doors, you know what it's like. Fucking gentrification in Midworld is out of this world. But he's trying to use the kid to help him as well, stop the Man in Black. So then they kind of go to New York and take a portal there. And this is where like the ingeniousness of the screenplay really shines because like Deadeye's really like a fish out of water here, and like he has a coke, and like goes to a hospital and stuff. So, but then they don't really do anything. They just sort of like midnight cowboy it until they steal some guns, and then Walter shows up again, and like the kid runs away, and six shooters like telling the Black King to show himself, and the Black King's like, "Oh, I've had enough of you. I'm cutting negative people out of my life. I'm into Taoism now. Leave it out." It's a bit like a story kind of about cognitive dissonance, I think. But while he's distracting the Gunflinger, the kid gets kidnapped by his like shape-shifting goons, and they take him back to Randall's man cave and like attach him to the Clockwork Orange machine. And despite them sort of hopping universes, the rifleman still tracks him down and he like shoots his way through this sort of weird brutalist car park, and then they have like this final confrontation between the Black King and the Gunflinger. And Roland's been like shooting his way through hundreds of militia and like Lovecraftian beasts from the mist, but now it's like the ultimate battle because it's this unstoppable evil, worse than the devil, and like now the Man of Black is showing his true form. I'm not really sure why though, because it all his projections just seem like exactly the same. There's no difference, so I don't know why he doesn't just do that all the time. The only difference is if he shows his true form, like you could just hit him or like spit on him or something. So I don't know why he ever does that, but he shows his true form, and they finally met their match, and they're going to have this little battle in a hallway. And you're like, well, how can he possibly beat like this sort of cosmic evil? And it doesn't look like he will. Like he gets glass in his hand, which is really bad, and then like you think he's going to die. But then the kid, even though he's like strapped up, he does this sort of like Darren Brown thing and reads like a motivational Pinterest quote to the gunflinger, and suddenly like the gunflinger amazes everyone and like figures out the one weakness of this ultimate, unstoppable, immortal, evil, cosmic being, which apparently is just like shooting him with a bullet. But then he dies and everyone's happy, and but then the gunman sort of like adopts the kid, which is a bit weird because they haven't done much. He went to New York, I guess, but he was more like a chaperone, the kid to Roland. And then it's all a bit clinical, like there's not really much emotion. So by the end, like the gunflinger is sort of way creepier than the Man in Black. But yeah, so then presumably like the kid and the gun errant go off and have these like Rick and Morty adventures, which I think we'll see some of in the sequel. I'm interested to see where they go with this. I think the sequel, Weekend at Walter's, is more of a comedy, and I think Anthony Hopkins is playing Eddie as well, so that'll be really interesting. And I'm looking forward to that. In terms of what I thought of this film, I thought it was really, really good, really good. Like 11 out of 12. And I think that it was Stephen King, but there weren't many scares in it, which was sort of a downside. Except his stepdad was a bit scary, but that was more of a traumatic thing. And then I also thought there wasn't much development. Like I didn't really follow why anything mattered. I've seen more development in like fragrance ads. In fact, I think Matt McConaughey thought he was in a less convoluted fragrance ad with Scarlett Johansson as like the New York mum with a problem child rather than like a fit escort model. Because the Black King spent most of the time like swanning around his architect room like a more creepy Goblin King, but just more predatory. And he didn't even sing anything to Muppets. He just sort of, I mean, they had like a rat boy there, but he was only in one scene, and they just like it was unexplained, and he just disappeared. It might have been budgeting because I guess to hire like Rizzo and one of like the main cast, it's really expensive to rent him, I guess. So it might have just got one day, but he just sort of says cryptic things to these skin people, and occasionally he sends like evocative messages that are a bit patronising to Roland, or he gives like these weird expositional soliloquies to no one. It's like some sort of near-life TED talk. And also his costume I thought could have been blacker, because like some of the lighting in some of the scenes, it was, if anything, a dark navy, which did kind of spoil the film for me, because it's the Man in Black, not the Man in dark navy. It looked good, but, you know, why would he be concerned with that? And then, like, the casting, there's been some controversy over the casting, and I kind of get it. Because it's not really what I envisaged. Like, when I read the book, the little bit I read of it, I thought the Gunflinger was going to be Asian. Because all the top-ranking players in Call of Duty are Asians. And then in this film, when, like, just this black dude nonchalantly showed up in, like, an Urban Outfitters coat, the kid says to him, like, "Oh, are you the gunslinger?" He says no. So I wasn't totally sure it was actually him until the credits came up. Because he's not wearing, like, a hat or anything. He doesn't have a theme tune. So, I mean, I'm glad they've got... If he's not going to be Asian, I'm glad they've at least got a black Time Lord, because I'm kind of sick of it being rich white people. But yeah, I thought it was a good film despite that, and yeah, not that scary, but I'd still give it maybe like 28 out of 31. And yeah, I'd recommend you read the comic and look out for the next one. That's the Dim Spire. Thank you for watching. Hello. I'd like to take this moment for a short awareness campaign from the Jake Chambers Foundation here in Empathica. Are you aware that every year thousands of parents die to plot device? Mothers and fathers taken before their time so that authors can sell us orphans primed for adventure? So that we can enjoy exciting narratives, parents are all too often reduced to the fate of undeveloped, two-dimensional set dressing. Inconvenient commitments that are so easy to replace with the motivation of a tragic backstory. Next time you enjoy the Bildungsroman of your favourite protagonist, I'm asking you to think about the parents that died to make that happen. With just a small donation to the Jake Chambers Foundation, you can help us put an end to this suffering for good. Please do what you can to spread awareness about this issue, and look at our other campaign about the horrible side effects of movie characters suffering from a lack of sleep and bowel movements. From us at the Jake Chambers Foundation, thank you.